Hello and welcome to our program. In today's era of globalization, young people are experiencing huge transformations, technological, economic, and attitudinal. Some of the positives of globalization are increasing youth mobility, greater forms of communication, and of course, greater freedom of speech. But on the other hand, there are challenges of consumerism, of the increased individualization of life, and of course, of the giving away of centuries-old values and traditions. And caught between these two flows is a generation of young people who are at one time very clear and also very confused, very happy and also very angry, very searching but also very indifferent. Yes, you're right, there are contradictions. And today, to help us navigate that sea of contradictions, we have somebody with us, of course, who needs no introduction. He is actually a pioneer of the modern understanding of holistic medicine and a powerful thought leader. Please welcome Dr. Deepak Chopra.
Thank you.
I'm going to begin with the audience. You know, somewhere हम young लोगों को डिब्बों में बंद कर देते हैं. We have certain stereotypes. These people, there is no balance in them. सोते हैं तो सोते ही रहते हैं, फन करते हैं तो फन ही करते रहते हैं, जब एग्ज़ाम सिर पे आते हैं तो फिर पढ़ते रहते हैं, पूरी रात जागते हैं और दिन में सोते हैं. तो ये जो स्टीरियोटाइप्स हैं, इन सबको हम अभी 2-4 स्टीरियोटाइप लेते हैं और अपनी ऑडियंस से पूछते हैं कि क्या वो इसमें फिट आते हैं और उनकी क्या व्यूज़ है इन स्टीरियोटाइप्स के बारे में. I'd like to start with the audience.
प्रेशर तो आपके पास रहता है, आप ये सोचते हैं 24 आवर्स हम पढ़ाई करके सीधे अचीव कर लेंगे, बट वो चीज़ नहीं होती है. आपको क्या कहते हैं, पढ़ाई के साथ साथ और भी चीज़ें करनी पड़ेंगी, तभी आप उस एग्ज़ाम्स को, उस कंपटीशन को अचीव कर सकते हैं.
हम सिर्फ एक चीज़ को लेकर चलते हैं और लाइफ बहुत अधूरी हो जाती है उसके साथ.
Buddha said that moderation or middle path is the golden path. I read about it and I believe in this idea to some point. But again, through my personal experiences in life, I find that no, it's not that golden. It's not that 24 carat and excess or one-way path is I think that's again a golden path. Nothing again succeeds like excess.
आज हम एक ऐसे क्रॉस रोड्स पे खड़े हैं जहाँ हमसे एक्सपेक्ट किया जाता है कि हम मल्टीटास्किंग भी हों, हम हर चीज़ में बैलेंस बनाए रखें और साथ साथ हम किसी एक फील्ड में एक्सेल भी करें ताकि हम उसमें हम अपना नाम बना लें.
वी आर यूथ, वाई टू हैव अ बैलेंस. अगर मुझे कोई एक चीज़ करनी है मैं वही करूँगी. आई लाइक ड्रामेटिक्स, आई विल डू ड्रामेटिक्स. वाई आई नीड टू कुक व्हेन माय मॉम सेज दैट. वाई?
यंग पीपल, द स्टीरियोटाइप एंड द फीलिंग इज वेट नहीं करना चाहिए. नीड इज फॉर स्पीड.
कई बार वेट करते करते होता है कि वो बहुत आगे निकल जाता है. तो ये ठीक है कि अगर हमने अभी मेहनत की है तो हमें अभी मिलना चाहिए.
Everybody says that our generation is a fast moving generation. So why don't we get the things like jobs and all that easily as we are the fast generation?
That's what I want to ask, whether my situation is right or wrong, that the result, I want a quick result.
There is the need for speed because if we don't work with the speed, the country's development will wait. If we wait, country's development will wait.
Freedom, core value. मतलब मुझे मेरी freedom चाहिए. But कहीं ये freedom के नाम में डायरेक्शनलेस तो नहीं हो रहे यूथ.
अगर हमें किसी भी चीज़ में फ्रीडम नहीं मिलेगी, हमें अपनी कोई चॉइस नहीं रह जाएगी. लाइक आफ्टर 10th बोर्ड्स हमें एक स्ट्रीम चूज़ करनी होती है, साइंस, कॉमर्स, ह्यूमैनिटीज़. बट कई बार होता है हमारे पेरेंट्स, हमारी फैमिलीज़, हमारे सराउंडिंग में जो लोग होते हैं वो हमें फोर्स करते हैं किसी एक चीज़ में जाने के लिए, बट हमारी कोई पर्सनल चॉइस नहीं होती.
I believe that freedom should be there because if when the youth has freedom, we get more things to explore, new things to experience, and when we get things to experience, we learn it on our own.
अगर मुझे पता है कि मेरे को आज़ादी एक कीमत पे मिली है, या मैं उस चीज़ को रियलाइज़ कर लूँ कि ये चीज़ मुझे एक कंडीशन पे मिली है और मैं उस चीज़ को अपने अंदर इंटरनलाइज़ कर लूँ कि अगर मेरे पेरेंट्स मुझे फ्रीडम दे रहे हैं तो वो मुझसे एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं कि मैं रिस्पॉन्सिबल रहूं.
Being extreme is quite wrong. Okay, freedom, we all desire freedom, but then when we look ahead in time, we always realize that our parents were right in what they were saying. So it's important to listen to them, and it's important that we desire our freedom too. So it's best to choose a mediocre path.
Dr. Chopra, you heard so many views, you know, middle path, extreme path. this whole manthan, this churn, is it a normal process of evolution?
Yes, it's a normal process of evolution, and evolution dictates one thing: progress. So when you look at each generation, they are smarter than the old generation. It's just a given, you know. Otherwise, we wouldn't have progress. So this generation is smarter than the generation on an average. There'll be exceptions, but this generation is smarter than the generation before them, which was smarter than the generation before them, which was smarter than the generation before them. And that's why we have evolution. Otherwise, we wouldn't. The creative process is always ahead. And that evolution takes form in many areas of our life, in education, in technology, in entertainment, in the arts, in the sciences, in philosophy, in how we ask questions about meaning and purpose in life, and the big questions that we've been asking today about freedom. So I don't find any contradiction in this. Coming into the first question, balance, right? And somebody said multitask, somebody said I should do excess, somebody said I should do only what I want to do, etc. In a way, they're all right. In a way, there is a little bit of misunderstanding. हमारे brain में 3 हिस्से होते हैं. You know, there are 3 parts to our brain. So the first, if I make my hand like this is what we call a handy model of the brain. Okay, so there's a part of the brain called the reptilian brain, which is the midbrain. It multitasks. Right now, it's multitasking in your body. So it's controlling your blood pressure, your heart rate, your biological rhythms, electrolytes, millions of things. You can't even count them because there are 100 trillion cells in your body, each doing 100,000 things per second, and your midbrain is multitasking. Then you have an emotional brain, and your emotional brain also is responding to the emotions of people around you. And you know, you cannot usually, unless you have taken a lot of effort, you cannot usually control your emotions, because you know, our emotions are linked to each other's emotions. If you're upset, then I'll get upset. If you're happy, then our emotions are infectious. They are shared. And so this part of our brain, limbic brain, is also multitasking. But then we have a very interesting part, and by the way, these are very old, you know, 300 million years old, the reptilian brain, 100 million years old. The brain that we are all proud of, the cortical brain, the brain that you use for educating yourself for anything, that cortical brain, which is only 4 million years old in evolution, it cannot multitask, okay? So if you're checking your iPhone or your BlackBerry and you're talking to me at the same time, you're doing neither. Okay, your conscious brain, I want to emphasize this, your conscious brain cannot multitask. Your unconscious mind does multitask. It's doing so right now. It's taking care of your body. But your conscious brain cannot multitask. Therefore, whatever you do, you have to do it with very focused awareness. So in my life, I believe the reason I'm able to do a lot of things is I reserve time for sleep time, relationship time, focused work or study time, exercise time, meditation time, play time, creative time. And I divide my time like this, and therefore I don't experience any stress, and therefore I'm able to do what I want to. Now you say, somebody said I should be only doing what I really want to. Yes, you should be exercising your strengths, not your weaknesses. And the most successful people in the world are those who complement their strengths with other people in a team who don't have their strengths. So, you know, in my case, my strengths are I'm futuristic, I'm adaptable, I like to connect people, I'm strategic, I maximize the use of my time, but I'm maybe not detail oriented, maybe not disciplined in execution. So if I surround myself with people and create a team which complements my strengths, then we have something that creates great degree of success. As far as being patient, you have to be patient. There's a season for everything. You can't just, somebody said, kya wo dahi banana hai, so it takes time. Similarly, it takes time for a fruit to ripen, but then one day, when the timing is right, it falls. So you have to have finesse and timing. You have to have patience without negligence. Patience without negligence, which means don't be so patient that you never do anything, that you're procrastinating. So in a way, everybody said the right thing. And I also want to address freedom. The only freedom that you need is the freedom to make creative choices yourself, the freedom to break out of stereotype conditioning. Okay, your parents give you the conditioning that they got from their parents, or all our conditioning comes from our culture, from our religion, from the customs of our parents, from our education. Education is a conditioning process, by the way, because it conditions your mind. It doesn't make your mind more creative. The word education means to take out what is already there. Edu means to take out, and core, from the core of your being. So most of our education is not actually real education. It's information. It's information overload. True education says, okay, now I have all this information. What am I going to do with this? What am I going to create out of this? That's freedom. That's creative freedom. It is to listen to your parents, but then to make up your own mind. Because if you do everything that your parents will do, you'll be no different than your parents. How are you going to take it next to the next step?
We as youth, we are doing things differently, but the older generation says that it's not right because we didn't used to do the things in that way.
I didn't say that you should do things totally independent of what your parents say. You should listen to your parents, okay? Then you should make up your own mind. But if you listen to your parents with respect, if you listening is a great art, by the way. Listening means you are giving them full recognition for their point of view, you're respecting them, you're not distracted, and you reflect on what they say. Then you make up your own mind. And actually this happens in every generation, otherwise we wouldn't have any progress. We would not have progress if we did exactly what our parents do. So now as evolution takes place, and if you do that respectfully, instead of arguing with your parents, I disagree with you, you are wrong, etc. You say, well, the best way to deal with your parents is to listen to them and ask them questions. Okay, should I do this? Should I do this? If I do this, why should I not do this? What do you think will be the difference? Engage them. And to tell you truthfully, parents should do the same thing. Parents should not be telling their children what to do. They should be engaging their children with respect in a dialogue. Okay, and the dialogue should include, what are we observing? What do we feel? What is the creative solution? What is needed? What's the best way? And come up with a creative response.
What should be our motive? Like, we should just keep listening to our parents and lead our life that way, or we should again take our own steps, making them understand our aspirations, our desires, and even if they're not happy with the decisions, which way should we go?
It's a two-way street. Whenever there's a conflict in any situation, whether it's between parents and children, or between two people in a relationship, or between two countries, or between two communities, the problem is that they're not communicating. If they communicate correctly, there's never a problem. And there are certain rules, okay, when there are rules of communication. One is decide right in advance that you're going to speak and communicate respectfully. Number two, recognize when there is an argument, both sides have a point of view, so you have to listen to both sides' point of view. One of the teachings of the Buddha who was mentioned was, there is no such thing as the right point of view. There is no point of view or all points of view. Okay, so you have to listen to both points of view together with respect. You have to also refrain from trying to prove somebody wrong, because as soon as you prove them wrong, they'll never forgive you and they'll even become more belligerent. Okay? You have to understand that they have values and you may have different values, but unless you share those values, there's not going to be any communication. And you have to also understand that there's a vision, there's a goal that you want to achieve, and that can only be achieved if you and your parents feel the same way about that goal. So ask yourself, what do we really want?
Sometimes I think I should go for my MSc. Sometimes I think I should go for the MBA. Sometimes I think I should pursue my dramatics career. Okay, we are always confusing about careers at this point of time. And the thing is, the more I think, the more I become negative. कि नहीं हुआ तो क्या होगा?
ये आपका खाली प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, ये इन जनरल सबका प्रॉब्लम है at your stage in life. So first of all, you should realize that this is a common problem. And part of the problem is society. Okay, it's society's conditioning, what we call the hypnosis of social conditioning. And if you are in a rush to conform, समझ में आ रहा है ना जो भी मैं बोल रहा हूँ, if you are in a rush to conform, your life will be mediocre. Okay, so when I was growing up, in my generation, our parents said, doctor बनना है या engineer बनना है. उन दिनों में वही choices थी. Okay, so most of people became engineers and doctors, even including me, and we were part of a rush to mediocrity. If you want to be extraordinary, then you don't worry about MBA. You don't worry about क्या बोला आपने और MSc. What else were you saying? Huh? Dramatic studies. You have to ask yourself, what am I passionate about? What are you passionate about? Then that's your
Dramatics.
If you're passionate about dramatic art, one day you might win an Oscar or something like that, and then you can hire the MBA to be your accountant. Okay, so don't decide your career based on societal expectations. Everyone here has a passion. Somebody could be passionate about cooking. They could become the best chef in the world. Okay, somebody could be passionate about dancing. Somebody could be passionate about mathematics. If this, by the way, is an ancient concept in India. This को dharma कहते हैं भाई. You know, dharma is what is my role in the big scheme of things. And when you take on that role, what happens? You have a good time. It's not a job anymore, it's play. The more playful it is, the more fun it is, the faster your time passes, the more you excel. Never, you know, that's the other problem with our education, by the way. If you're weak in mathematics, what do your parents do? They get you a math tutor. And you want to play tennis, you know, so they should be getting you a tennis coach. So one day you can go and, you know, participate in the Olympics, and then the mathematician can again come and do your accounting. So it's very, very important to focus on our strengths, not our weaknesses. You're wasting your time when you focus on your weaknesses, because there are enough people in this room that everybody's strengths, everybody's passion can complement that's what a good society actually is.
आज की डेट में यूथ्स जो है मानिए कि 30 से 40% अपने जो डे का एक समय है वो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडिया और ऐसे इलेक्ट्रॉनिक माध्यम्स के पास समय व्यतीत करता है, मीन्स स्पेंड करता है. वो ये सोचता है कि हाँ ये चीज़ करेंगे, मतलब थिंकिंग उसकी ये रहती है कि ये करेंगे, बट कहीं ना कहीं आप ये सोचते हैं कि मीडिया भी उसको डिफ्लेक्ट कर देता है.
ओके, सो दिस इज बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन है, बिकॉज एवरीबडी आस्क्ड दिस क्वेश्चन आल्सो कि इज द इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडिया और सोशल नेटवर्क्स आर दे हेल्पफुल टू आवर प्रोग्रेस or are they detrimental? You have to understand a few things. First of all, as part of our evolution, since we started with that, technology is part of our evolution. So you can't stop it. Okay, it's getting faster and faster. When I went to the US, I had never seen a TV set in my life. Okay, I had never seen that. First time I saw a TV was in New York. Okay, then fax machines came, then the internet came in 1995, then email, and now social networks, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, you name it. you can see movies, you can download music. So is this good or bad? The first answer is it's neutral. Okay, it's part of our evolution. You can't stop it. In 10 years, it will be 1,000,000 times what it is today. You can't even imagine. In 20 years, it will be 1,000,000,000 times what it is today. So you can't even imagine, and it's unstoppable. Now the question is, how are we going to use it? We can use it to destroy ourselves. Okay, totally destroy ourselves, distract ourselves, create our minds go crazy. In fact, the technology we have right now, if you know how to use it, you can rob a bank. In fact, that's what happens all the time. People's bank accounts get hacked. You can interfere with the electricity in the city. You can interfere with the pacemaker. If you're diabolical, you can even cause a nuclear plant to leak. So it's dangerous. Okay, the technology is dangerous, but it's also divine, because it's linking us together today as never before. Arab Spring is happening because of that. Your identity is changing because of that. The identity means we keep our religious identity, our ethnic identity national, but we also have a global identity. Trade is becoming global. What happens in China affects elections in Italy. What happens in Italy today is having an effect in the rest of Europe, which is affecting everybody else. So, you know, the world is becoming interconnected. A mature society doesn't say, is media bad or good? It says, how can we use it for good? Okay, and that's what the youth has to do. It has to say, how do we use this power that we have? Because what is this technology? It's our mind extending now through the ecosystem.
So as you said that our conscious mind cannot multitask, but I can't connect to it because in my everyday life, I think everything I do all the time, either I'm studying, I'm listening to music, or I'm online. And not even me, like even if I see my teachers or my parents, everyone is multitasking today's life. So I'd like you to throw some light on that our conscious mind cannot multitask.
If they are doing that, if you're listening to music and studying at the same time and checking your email and going on the internet, you're doing nothing effectively. Okay, this is what we call mindfulness. You have to do whatever you do it effectively. You will never see me with my iPhone or with my BlackBerry or with my whatever handheld device if I'm with a certain person. Okay, because I reserve that time for when I'm alone. Okay, if I'm on the internet, then I'm not doing anything else. If I'm listening to music, I want to enjoy the music, not talk to you at the same time or study at the same time. So I think this is a time where this will automatically, the people who adapt to these technologies and are mindful at the same time, evolution dictates that they will be the future. The rest will be weeded out. If you do too many things at the same time, your body can't take it, your brain can't take it. So just know that conscious mind means focused mind, whatever it is doing. If I'm talking to you, you know, they say that great leaders have charisma, and that's true. And I meet with leaders all the time. I was with Mr. Clinton a few weeks ago, and you see they have certain characteristics. Number one, they're totally present. They're not distracted. If you are multitasking, then you're distracted. Number two, they have true self-esteem. They're not worried about what you think of them. And number three, they are friendly. They exude warmth. You cannot do that if you're trying to do more than one thing at a time.
I would like to know if positive thinking really helps in improving life skills or not.
I'm glad you asked it. Okay? Positive thinking, just for the sake of positive thinking as an idea, is a very stressful thing to do. So do not think positive thinking is a good idea. I'll repeat that, okay? A positive mind is as stressful as a negative mind because it's a turbulent mind. Okay? If I ask you for the next 2 hours, be conscious of your breathing, what will happen? After a while, you won't be able to do it, right? So just like you cannot consciously be aware of your breathing, you can't be consciously aware of your thoughts. If you try, you'll get stressed. So you don't need a positive mind. What do you need? You need a quiet, creative mind. And when you have a quiet, that's the value of meditation, or what we call dhyan or mindfulness or yoga or pranayama and all these techniques. They allow you to have a focused, quiet, creative, intuitive mind, not a positive mind. Positive mind can be exasperating.
Most of the times an issue occurs that we want to make everybody happy. We listen to people, we interact. Suppose I interact with somebody today, I grasp his perception towards about a thing. I believe him. Next day I meet somebody else, I grasp his perception, and then I think this is correct. So this happens for some time, and then we tend to land in nowhere.
Remember 3 words, they all begin with A. Attention, appreciation, affection. So attention just means listening. When I talk to you, don't be thinking of the answer. Okay? Just listen. Okay? Because if you're thinking of the answer, then you're not listening to me. Okay? Most people don't listen. The greatest leaders in the world are really good listeners. Okay? So that's A, attention, when you're interacting with somebody. The second is appreciation, which means notice what their strength is. Be asking yourself, what does this person need? Be asking yourself, what does this person want? Be asking yourself, what are this person's aspirations? Okay? Even ask them. Okay? That's appreciation. And the third is affection, which means be genuinely compassionate, empathetic, and interested in that person. If you do that, you will make that person very happy, but you will make yourself very happy because you learn something. Okay? That's how we grow. We don't grow by telling the world, this is my ambition, this is what I want to do, which you can also do with yourself. But the reason we grow is we learn from other people. Every day ask yourself, yesterday, who did I meet? What did I learn from them? Okay, what was the opportunity there? And that's how you'll expand your awareness. You'll make yourself very happy if you make other people happy, but not making them happy because you flatter them. That's not even right, to make somebody happy by flattering their ego. But by listening and caring and learning from them, you make them happy and you make yourself happy.
What were the activities and the ideas for the fun and the freedom at your time when you were a student?
When I was actually a student here at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. I went to medical college here. Activities haven't changed too much. It was cricket most of the time. We also had debating at that time as a major activity. But I used to moonlight as a medical student just for fun. For All India Radio, I used to read the news in the evening for Melville de Mello and Shurujit Sen when they were off. And so that was my hobby.
For this concept, body, mind and soul, how can I use it to provide the better services to my patient in the future?
As far as understanding the mind-body connection and mind-body-spirit connection, I think the most important thing you can do as a doctor, as a medical student, is listen to your patient's stories. See, this is not part of our training, unfortunately. When patients come, we want to immediately make a diagnosis. We immediately want to give them a treatment. We are already thinking, isko bimari kya hai? What is the diagnosis? What is the treatment? What is the prescription? That is what caused a lot of problems because patients don't feel they are being listened to. Every patient comes with a story. And when you listen to their story, more than making the diagnosis, you will know what's really going on in their life. What is going on in their job, what is going on in their family, with their wife, with their children, with their career, all those things have an impact on a person's health. So your health is not just, the diagnosis or the infection you have or whatever illness. Your health is your career well-being, your community well-being, your social well-being, your relationships, your emotions, and all of that. You don't even have to classify that in your head. You have to just listen to the story. Tell me about your life. Who are you? What do you want? Where do you come from? Tell me something interesting about your life. Tell me something which is making you sad and depressed. It's not just for the psychiatrists. This is for regular doctors to know their patients. Because you're not treating a disease, you're treating a human being.
हम एक दो बार अपने पेरेंट्स से बात करते हैं तो डांट मिल जाती है, तो ये होता है कि फिर उसके बाद हम लोग उनसे पेरेंट्स से बात नहीं बताने लगते हैं। तो इस मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग को सर कैसे दूर किया जा सके जो कम्युनिकेशन गैप बना रहा है, क्योंकि लोग कहने लगते हैं जनरेशन गैप हो गया।
ये थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम तो पेरेंट्स में भी है, और इट्स पार्ट ऑफ आवर कंडीशनिंग, इट्स पार्ट ऑफ आवर सोसाइटी, इट्स पार्ट ऑफ आवर कल्चर. सो इट टेक्स जनरेशंस टू ओवरकम इट, बट इट्स बीइंग ओवरकम. अदरवाइज आप ये क्वेश्चन जो पूछ रहे हैं, maybe 2 generations ago nobody would have asked the question. They do what their parents tell them to do, right? But you're asking the question. So एक ही advice आपको मैं दे सकता हूँ. Treat them with respect. If you disagree with them, disagree with respect. Okay. Your behavior should be such that you share with them that you really care about them. And if you do, they will listen to you. Okay? The number one cause of problem in the world is lack of communication. That's all. And generation gap, yeah. I have a grandson who's now 5 years of age, and the other day when I went to Los Angeles, his father picked me up, my son and him, and he's asking me questions about dark energy, dark matter. He's asking me where the galaxies came from, and I started to ask him the question. I realized that he's playing a video game called Pokemon where his mind is being stimulated by these questions. So you see, now a 5-year-old boy is asking questions which Einstein would have asked 3 generations ago. That's evolution. It's unstoppable. And parents have to change too, to some extent. They have to ask, parents can no longer afford, in the future, I can say, to dictate to their children. They have to treat their children as equals. They have to ask them questions. They have to have dialogue with them, and the children have to do the same. It'll happen slowly.
Do you really feel that with the so-called progress, the overall happiness index has also progressed?
Happiness is a very, very difficult thing to quantify. Overall, by the way, today, even though our news media gives us the impression that people used to be happy in the old days, in ancient times, or at least 2 generations ago, the fact is that's a romantic myth. Okay? Also, we like to believe that people in the past were more peaceful. They were not. Look at what your history is, or our history is, right? All we remember is the dates of war. That's all our history lessons are, about wars, right? So actually there's less violence today than there was even 2 generations in the world. Okay? People are happier today than there were 2 generations in the world. They're smarter today than they were 2 generations ago. However, we've also created capacities. Capacity, जानते हो ना, हमारी capacity ऐसी है कि our capacity to destroy is much more than it was 2 generations ago. Our capacity to destroy the ecosystem, to create global warming, these are much more than we had 3 generations ago. So even though we are making progress, we are not measuring progress in all areas of life. We are only measuring progress in economic development, which is not the way it should be. So since you asked about happiness, social scientists have done work on what they call happiness. So happy people find creative solutions for problems. Happy people do not emphasize economic growth as the only factor, and happy people have good relationships. Okay, and they find fulfillment through purpose. If you have meaning, purpose in your life, if you have healthy relationships, and you focus on creative solutions, you'll be a happy person. And then you'll make progress also. So, somebody said, I want success. But what is success? Okay. If you make a lot of money, but you have high blood pressure and a heart attack, is that success? Okay. Or if you make a lot of money and you're constantly fighting with your children or your wife, is that success? So you have to define what is success. Success is the progressive realization of worthy goals, because as soon as you achieve a goal, you want something else, right? So these goals go from everything, from money to relationships to higher consciousness to creativity to innovation. But then success is also the ability to love and to have compassion. And success, most importantly, is the ability to trust yourself and know that you have within you the potential to create your own happiness, irrespective of the circumstances.
You are my favorite author, and I would like to thank you for all your works. The problem with me is I become very sad when I read the newspaper, when I open the newspaper. I don't know how to deal with it.
You can't be in denial. The newspaper is reporting what is happening, okay? And not only is it reporting what's happening, it's also the reflection of the collective consciousness, okay? So you have to accept that. But then you have to ask yourself, how can I make a difference? Okay, I want to see it. This is a favorite quote of mine from Mahatma Gandhi. He said, can you be the change you want to see in the world? Okay, so you have to do that, and then you have to hang out with people who want to do that. Because, you know, they say in India, hame kehte hain, seva, satsang, simran. Okay, seva means what are you going to contribute? Satsang is hang out with the right people who want to do the same thing. And Simran means don't lose confidence in yourself. Remember that you have a lot of power to change. Okay? Since newspaper is your challenge and reading the newspaper, you should be a journalist. That is your future, because you want to change the news. Okay? So you should be studying journalism and saying, how can I change the news? Because there's lots of good things happening too. But they're not so, they don't sell as well. So you have to start changing that zeitgeist, you know, the collective mindset, by making good news interesting.
Sir, I want to know about our unconscious mind. Can we mix both our conscious mind and unconscious mind so that मैं अगर एक बार चाहूँ कि जैसे मेरी लाइफ में कुछ हो और वो इंस्टेंटली हो जाए?
इंस्टेंटली तो नहीं होगा,
थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा,
लेकिन हो जाएगा. ओके, इंस्टेंटली कोई चीज़ नहीं होती दुनिया में. ओके, सो सबकॉन्शियस माइंड इज़ अ वेरी वेस्टर्न टर्म. Till Freud, nobody used to use that term. It's a wrong term. Sri Aurobindo in our country used the word supraconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is your supraconscious mind. Don't call it subconscious, because it knows much more than you know right now. What you know is very limited state of awareness, but your supraconscious mind knows everything. Here's what you do. You should ask questions like the following. Who am I? What do I want? What is my purpose? What do I want to contribute? What kind of friendships do I want to have? What kind of unique skills and talents do I have? Who are my heroes? Okay? Or what does success mean to you? You should ask yourself these questions, and then you should listen, learn, have the ability to quieten your mind, whether it's through meditation or watching your breath, and then just leave it. Don't even focus anymore on it. You can even ask these questions of yourself before you sleep at night. And then you'll find solutions either in the form of interesting ideas, creative solutions, or you'll meet people, situations, circumstances, events that will be answering your questions, because your supraconscious mind, it starts to do a file search and it delivers the answers to you when you need them. Okay? This is the value really of what we call dhyan, dharana, samadhi. Dhyan is the ability to quieten the mind, dharana is focused reflection, and samadhi is going into that state of complete silence.
In a country where people first aim for being financially stable in their lives, happiness comes a little after that, and so does pursuing the passion.
When you say stability, you probably mean security, and the search for security is the biggest cause of insecurity. Okay? And it's a pipe dream. Okay? If you say, oh, you know, when I'm stable, when I make that money, when I get that job, then I'll do this. You'll never do it. Okay. Do it now, and then you'll have the security that you want. Otherwise, you'll pay a very high cost for it. High cost means in terms of stress, in terms of good relationships, in terms of your own health. Okay, so the fastest way to success is to use your talents, use your strengths, which is what your passion is. They're all the same thing. Your strengths, your passion, your unique skills. Ask yourself this one question. If I had all the money in the world and all the time in the world, how would I express myself? Okay, and then do it. Somebody said to me, oh, I would travel it all over the world. I said, then open a travel agency. Okay, that's your dharma.
During the process of evolution, we seem to have discarded our traditional wisdom, which has probably all the answers to the queries of the modern world. So what kind of work is being done to bring back the traditional wisdom back into the limelight?
Tradition is good, but it's also a problem. Okay, so don't think that, you know, when I was growing back, I used to say the same thing because my grandmother used to say, no matter what I said, she said, वो तो सब हमारी tradition में है, वेदों में लिखा. पता लगा नहीं है वेदों में सब कुछ. Okay, they didn't know about the internet or email or even how to make a toaster. So, you know, we have to respect the tradition, and then we have to selectively say what's good there, okay, because there's a lot of good there. Okay, what I find is now that as people become more global, you realize कि हमारी traditions हैं, पर दुनिया में बहुत traditions हैं, and they all have something to offer. So we should be learning from all these traditions, and we shouldn't be complacent about tradition. We should say, what's the next step? Because tradition can be a burden. You know, slavery was a tradition. Caste system was a tradition, right? So were they good traditions? No. Well, how can we say that? Till 150 years ago in the United States, they were buying and selling slaves. Okay, European colonialism was a tradition. Was it? It was robbery. It was, you know, it was murder. It was conquest. It was rape. But they saluted the king, and then they wore a uniform and pillaged other countries. So lots of good things in tradition, but we have to be very selective in where we want to take tradition into the future ourselves.
How was your life and romance during your stay at AIMS?
I fell in love with every actress on the movie screen those days. I also had girlfriends in medical school, and I actually fell in love in my final year. And my wife is from those times. She was actually visiting a patient that I was assigned to. So it was very good. In fact, I used to go to see the patient just so I could see her.
I think that's a cue for great cue for doctors. We spoke of love, we spoke of romance, and there is of course sublime love and divine love. We also know that you sing. Just a little, just hum, could you sing something for us? I think that'll add divinity to the air here.
I recite poetry. If you want, I can do that.
That would be wonderful, wonderful.
So let me think of something really interesting. Huh? So here's a poem from Rumi, great Sufi poet. So he talks about waking up, okay? And he says, we come spinning out of nothingness, scattering stars like dust. Look at these worlds spinning out of nothingness. This is within your power. Way beyond ideas of right doing and wrong doing, there's a field. I'll meet you there. And finally, if you're not naked by now, go back to sleep. Do you understand that?
Lovely.
Do you understand what that means, huh? If you're not totally naked at all levels, then you're asleep. You're not vulnerable enough. You're not awake enough to allow the universal consciousness to come through you.
And I think this dovetails beautifully with that bit about security you spoke, that we are constantly looking for security and shelter, And here you're talking of vulnerability and exposing to grow and learn.
Vulnerability, without vulnerability, there is no possibility of love. A person who's defensive cannot love. So what brings love in our life, including romantic love, is to be able to see the other person as a mirror of yourself. So those that you love and those that you dislike are both mirrors of yourself. You love those people in whom you find traits that you want. That's why you want to hang around with them. And you dislike people in whom you find traits that you are denying in yourself. So every relationship is a mirror and a reflection. And you shouldn't, if it's a reflection, then you shouldn't fight with the reflection and break the mirror. You should say, if I don't like my reflection, what am I doing or how am I being that this relationship is reflecting that? Every relationship is a relationship of love, actually, in the end, even the ones that you don't like.
And that's really powerful because that's sometimes the toughest to understand.
It is tough to understand. But relationship goes through stages. You know, first there's attraction, which usually is because you found somebody that has traits that you desire in yourself. Whatever they are, beauty, love, passion, sensuousness, sexuality, you're attracted. It's the first stage. Second stage is infatuation. That person is the total embodiment of everything. Everything else disappears in your life. You know, infatuation is a very interesting stage because you never notice weaknesses. You know, that's why people say, what did they find in each other? Because other people don't. Okay. Now that's the second stage of love. The third stage of love, if you make it, most people don't make it after that. You know, because then they start to discover traits in the other person that they find disconcerting, because nobody is perfect. If you find a perfect person, then that person is not real. Okay, so there's nobody perfect. Most people don't go beyond infatuation. They settle into boredom, or they get divorced, or they have a fight, and then they get infatuated with somebody else. Okay, because what they haven't seen is that they're looking for the perfect person, and so they're looking for the perfect, or let's say the right person, when they need to be the right person themselves. If you're not the right person, you never find the right person. And so who's the right person? The right person is somebody who accepts weaknesses, who says it's okay to be flawed because I am flawed. Okay? And that's then the third stage of love. It's called communion. It's more than communication. You accept the person as they are. You still love their great, wonderful things that you loved before, but you're okay with their weaknesses because you recognize your own. Now, if you can make it through these first three stages, then of course it becomes very interesting. Then there's intimacy, sensuality, sexuality, passion, ecstasy. These are later stages of love. What most people call passion is not passion. It's infatuation. Okay, true passion is to totally the blossoming of both the masculine and the feminine energies in your own self. Shiva and Shakti have woken up in your own being.
One question which was common through quite a few which were asked was, how do you manage your time? You write prolifically, you speak, you travel across the world. How do you do your time management? And you talk of focus also. So
I mentioned this. See, I think I showed you these gizmos last time when I was here. I exercise every day, no matter what. Okay, because if I don't exercise, I don't feel complete. I meditate every day. I don't feel complete if I don't do that. I sleep well. Okay. Now, I do not have toxic habits, you know. So when I was in medical school, I had enough alcohol and cigarettes and all that. So I can now say, been there, done that. That makes a lot of energy for me. I write regularly, every day 2 hours. And these days when I travel on a plane, I write a lot. And I make time to communicate with those that I care about, that I love every day. So the reason I think I get so much accomplished is I don't stress and I don't multitask. The way to do a lot of things is not to multitask. Do one thing at a time. You know, be mindful of what you're doing and then do it right. As far as writing is concerned, I only write about things. I'm not thinking what's the next book I want to write. I'm writing about what I'm interested in at this moment, you know. So it's a progression for me. Okay, so I wanted to write about Buddha. I first read everything, then I traveled. I came here, India, went to Budga, etc. I wanted to write about Jesus, went to Israel, lived it. Wanted to write about Muhammad, I went to the Arab countries. You know, that's what I do these days. And it's not enough to do your research on the internet. You have to go and be in the atmosphere.
Okay.
So, you know, it gets done. I don't, in fact, I have the feeling I'm not doing it. It's being done.
Wonderful. I think it's about total immersion, and that emotion comes through. Now I want you to please maybe request you to immerse the audience in what you wanted to do.
Why don't you all pair up with each other right now? Everyone pair up. You two pair up, you two pair up, you two pair up, you two pair up. Okay, now look at your partner and make a quick decision. Which one of you has the shorter hair? किसके बाल छोटे हैं? Okay, now the person with the short hair, close your eyes. And the person with the longer hair, whisper in your partner's ear every 15 seconds the following question. Who are you? And the person with the long hair, listen to your heart and say the first thing that comes to your mind. Let's do it right now. Okay, now let's switch. So if you were asking the question, you answer it. Okay, the long-haired person, close your eyes, listen to your heart. Let your partner ask you the question, who are you? And respond from your heart. Keep asking the question. Switch once more, and this time ask the question, what do you want? Okay, switch once more. Let your partner ask you the question, what do you want? Okay, now all of you close your eyes. All of you close your eyes. Put your attention right in the middle of your chest, in your heart. Ask yourself those two questions mentally. Who am I? What do I want? And see what comes up. Don't force anything, okay? Just ask yourself, who am I? What do I want? And see what comes up in the way of a thought or a sensation or an image or a feeling. Then mentally ask yourself, who's this person sitting next to me and what does he or she want? And see what comes up. Again, just any thought, any sensation, any feeling. Okay, open your eyes. Take 1 minute each, just 1 minute each. Sharing what you learned about yourself and what you learned about the other person. Take 1 minute each. Share with. Okay, now just silence. Anyone want to give me one word for their experience? One word.
Everyone wants that to completely unfold their potentials, that they want to reach that self-actualization point.
Okay.
My only aim is being happy. If I'm happy, I can achieve all the success of life.
Okay. Anyone else?
I've learned that I wanted to be more accepting in life, which would make me a calmer person inside, because once you tend to go in denial, that is where problems arise.
Anyone else?
Main is the freedom I thought about.
She thought about freedom, yeah?
I want to use and know the whole of my powers to heal and to solve.
I want to enjoy my life.
सर हमें पता चला कि हम अपने आप को नहीं जानते हैं और हम जानना चाहते हैं.
अपने आप को नहीं जानते, जानना चाहते हैं. Excellent.
हमारा जन्म एक कण के रूप में हुआ था, अब हमें अभी हम इंसान नहीं बन पाए हो जिस तरह हमें बनना चाहिए था.
अभी इंसान बनेंगे.
I want to achieve success and he wants to make money.
I want to achieve success, he wants to
Sir,
make
till
money.
my last breath, I want to know each and everything about this world.
I want to know each and every. But by the way, just so we can go on, but all of you are expressing your spiritual qualities, okay? Including be successful, make money, enjoy. These are spiritual quests that we have. There's nothing wrong with anything, okay? So if you keep in mind just these two questions as the most important questions of your life, and reflect on that every day. Who am I? What do I want? And when you meet other people, think in your mind also and try to figure out what do they want. Okay? Our life is a story. Every story has, I mean, you go to see the movies, right? You see films, right? You go to theater. So what's a good story? A good story is where are we? Where do we want to go? What is the journey going to be like? If the journey is easy, no challenges, no adventure. You see a movie would you see a movie where there was no contradiction, no tension? Would you? You'd walk out, right? If it's every scene is a good scene, why bother, right? So a good story has mystery, it has adventure, it has challenges, it has triumph, it has tragedy. Otherwise, it's a boring story. Okay. Where do I want to go? When I get there, how will life be different from me and for all the people that are affected by me? Because your life is not in isolation. It's with your life is part of other people's life. You are totally entangled. Write your story. But then you say, I'm the director, I'm the producer, I'm the hero, I'm the villain. There are no villains in the story. Every villain is a reflection of yourself too. So I'm the director, I'm the choreographer, put in a little music and song, dance to it, and then enjoy life. Only 3 criteria. Is it going to be fun, even with all the problems? Are the people that I engage with, are they going to be fun with all the challenges? And finally, is it going to make a difference? If the answer is yes, go for it. Okay. Good stories inspire hope, trust, compassion, love, romance. Make that your life.
I came to know my good friend wants peace, love and support, and I'm sure everyone's want that.
Yes, love and happiness is the ultimate goal of all goals, right? Whatever you want to do, in the end you end up with love and happiness, yeah.